What's up, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. So, on today's figure review, we're going to be taking a look at of the Bandai Movie Monsters series, Godzilla Ultima, or the final form of Godzilla from the animated series, Godzilla Singular Point. Without further ado, let's go ahead and take a close-up look of this big boy of Godzilla here. So, to start off, here we have the arms, and might be a little bit tricky to maneuver them around all the way, but fear not, it is possible to rotate them all the way around. Same thing on the other side, but just be mindful, as this is not going to be as easy to rotate them because of the legs here. But yes, you can indeed rotate them all the way around, but just be careful as you do. And here with the legs, the big legs that this Godzilla incarnation has, they're pretty big. And again, like I said, vice versa, either the arms or the legs, you got to move one or the other to rotate one or the other around. And pretty much the same thing would be the same case for the other side. Now, as far as with the tail, as I mentioned before, with some figures having, well, I would say probably most of the time it's the tail that's glued on together with the body of the figure, and that is the same case with this Godzilla's tail, as trying to rotate it, but can't because it is glued on, and probably for good reason, to just make sure it's not loose and all. And like right here, where my finger's at, that there's a seam right there if you wanted to rotate it or get it loose and unglued to rotate and do so. And then another seam right there where it seems where you could also rotate at a second point in the tail to rotate all the way around or take off. But here it's a little bit more easy to identify, or I hope on video you can see the seam, but if not, here you would know, because here it's silver and there's no paint there. But here, fortunately, they did paint it silver here and silver there. But I'm sure you'll still be able to find where the seam of where the tail could have, well, depending on if you wanted to take off the tail to rotate or take off, like I've said. As far as the head goes now, it's pretty much all one piece together with the rest of the body. You can't really rotate the head on this figure. But as far as appearance of this incarnation of Godzilla, and just reflecting back on previous incarnations of our fellow king of the monsters here, he has fangs here. Well, here, I mean, that kind of resemble of, I think it was either 1954 or 1955, of where that one of those two incarnations of Godzilla had really big fangs that were noticeable popping out of his mouth. And then there you can see that. And then another unique thing of this Godzilla, he has like that back claw behind his foot here, kind of like how a dinosaur would, having that extra back claw right there. And also right here. But of course, it's not quite painted as it blends in with the main portion of the body being I would say a gray color, and then with the toes being almost a, I don't really want to say white, but like a shade. Well, as far as on the paint of the toes, there's some white here of white paint, but the toes here are just a light shade of a color. And the claws here on his hands are a light gray color on the claws here. And also a bunch, well, mainly throughout his dorsal plates of a silver color. Throughout his back here, as it starts from the back to the top. So here it would start traveling all the way up to the top of the head here, and a little bit here on the side of a line going down, and some on his chest, and another line going down here. And there is his face. As far as the eyes go, they are very small, considering that everything else from the bottom to top, he's got a very bulky body here at the bottom, but then here he got small arms and a very smaller head for his body. And with the eyes, they're pretty much looking like, well, oops, sorry about that. On camera here, kind of looking like just only pupils, like a yellowish pupil there. But yeah, that pretty much is gonna cover for Godzilla Ultima here, the final form of Godzilla from Godzilla Singular Point. Now, let's go ahead and move on to some size comparisons with also the other forms from Godzilla Singular Point now. Alright, and here, first up of the first form in this Godzilla's evolution, here we have on the right Godzilla Aquatilis next to Godzilla Ultima here. And definitely a big difference here as far as Godzilla stage of evolution. Now, as far as with the length, so with this first form, it's a little, I would say a little bit longer here compared to the Ultima form. But as I mentioned before, and once we move on, just to mention that they're all going to be pretty long between each other as far as being a figure. Alright, let's go ahead and move on next. Alright, and here we have the second form of Godzilla's evolution. And here on the right, and I believe that this enunciation should be right, it's Godzilla Amphibia, I think. If not, it'll be here of how to say the name in the description and right now in the video of the correct name. But I'm pretty sure it's Godzilla and Amphibia. Oh gosh, these names. But in other words, here we got the second form of Godzilla's evolution, and here he is compared to Godzilla Ultima here. And yep, throughout his progression of evolving, he starts getting a little bit more bulkier as Godzilla evolves throughout the animated series. Now, as far as comparing with the length here, to give you guys an idea, and then throughout each evolution process, he still holds on to carrying and possessing that Godzilla essence of those dorsal plates popping up from the back. All right, let's go ahead and move on. All right, last but not least, here we have the third form in Godzilla's evolution. And here on the right, we have Godzilla Terrestris next to Godzilla Ultima. And yep, here we're definitely progressing to see a little bit more idea of Godzilla taking shape toward the end of his final and ultimate evolution process here. And then to compare them up side by side here we got the difference here. And here we got the difference here between these two figures. I wonder which one looks like Godzilla more. But, alright, let's go ahead and pass this along to Fierce Zilla Jr. now. So, Fierce Zilla Jr., what are you doing? Oh my goodness, here, let me help you, just give me 1 second. Okay, there you go. Alright, Fierce Zilla Jr., what are your final thoughts on Godzilla Ultima here from the animated series Godzilla Singular Point.